And thank you so much for being a part of this. I really appreciate it. It's really cool that there you go. That's our studio audience. No, we don't have a studio audience. Anyway, so it's great to see you today. I hope everybody is doing great. Hope everything is going well with everyone, and good to have you here. So I want to check and make sure you've got will you please let me know that you're seeing me? If you're on Facebook, we should be going to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube right now. I want to say a couple thanks once again to Oliver, who sent me the Memo Live, and I'm working on that and learning that, so I'll be using that. You like the studio audience there, Talee? That's really cool. And thank you to Ken for also alerting me about some software that we're going to be using next week. Coming up next week, I've got a couple guests that are going to be joining. So excited about that I'll have a couple guests on with me that will continue the conversation and get them involved as well with what's going on. So glad that you're here. Glad that you're seeing it on Facebook. And I guess we're on Twitter, on Periscope, but I don't know that for sure. Anyway, hope you're having a great Friday. Got a couple things to talk about today too that I want to share with you. One is something we've talked about a little bit before, but I want to bring it up again, particularly for those of you that are new to watching, and that is the importance during this time where we're all kind of in the house or things have kind of slowed down in a way, to remember a very, very important principle. Here it is. You ready? The principle is that motion creates emotion. Motion creates emotion. Tammy and I just got back. We took a walk here in the neighborhood. We went out and walked a couple of miles this morning. And, it's just something that we have to do, right? You've got to, this is a time that it's very, very easy to get depressed because of the unknown that we talked about yesterday. And if you didn't see that, you may want to go back and see yesterday's program. We talked about the importance of dealing with change during the time of unknowns. And it's part of human nature that it's very difficult for us to deal with unknown times. So it's important that you move around, walk around in the neighborhood. Look, I know that we don't want to be in contact with other folks. I know that it's a time that we don't want to be out there glad-handed and shaking hands and doing all those kinds of things. But it also is certainly a time that we really, really need to make certain that we stay on top of the depression that we can feel, just that feeling of being down. We have that happen all the time, that we just feel a little bit down, and it's challenging. It's challenging. So remember that motion creates emotion, and so to keep our emotions at a higher level, to be able to make certain that we, stay balanced as we can during this incredible time of challenge and change, that we get out there and move. So even if it's walking around in the neighborhood, even if it's, just dropping, doing 10 push-ups, whatever it might be, find a way to create. Look, I am not the guy to tell you to be a bodybuilder. I mean, obviously, right? I mean, I'm not trying to talk something I don't know anything about. But I do know that the more that we move, the better that we feel. So whatever it might be, in whatever small way, don't be such a couch potato that it affects your emotions as we're dealing with the challenge and the change and the times that we're going through. Really, really critical for us. I saw this incredible article, and again, I don't mean to say, I'm really, really cautious about sharing anything about health or anything like that, because goodness only knows, there was this funny meme the other day and it showed the BBC, and it said, we'll be right back after the break with viral expert from Facebook. And it was that somebody on Facebook that purporting to be an expert. So I don't want to be that. I want to be that gal. I don't want to be that guy, right? But there was a fascinating article, and I believe it was in the Wall Street Journal. I'll try to post it because it was really, really interesting. And it said that during the influenza attack in the early 1900s, in the pandemic back then, that a hospital in Boston, ran out of space, ran out of beds. And so they moved patients outside. It was during the summer. So they had beds outside. And then they discovered that the patients outside were recovering much more rapidly than the patients inside. And you think about how healthcare has changed over the last 100 years, and with vaccines and with antibiotics and with everything that we've got going on. And think about how hospitals are built with a kind of a lack of fresh air and a lack of sunshine. I'm no doctor, but I just found that to be absolutely fascinating, that the patients that were exposed to sunlight and exposed to fresh air got better more rapidly than those that were cooped up. So another reason to get out there and move around. So that's the first thing I wanted to mention to you. Is just, get out there and move. Let's make it happen. Let's catch up here. Oh, hey, Dwayne, great to see you. Happy Friday to you as well. And virtual business golf or virtual night out dancing. There you go, right? I mean, we can do virtual karaoke, whatever it might be. We can make that happen. We can do that. Yeah, Dana, we're trying to be everywhere. Just omnipotent in our daily distinction. Oh, by the way, somebody asked me, are we going to be on this weekend? And I'm going to do this 7 days a week. Why not? I'm here, right? So if you're around this weekend and want to join, same time, same place, wherever you're watching, I'll be back here on the weekend to talk as well. We'll just do this every day. Let's see, Joe, don't threaten me with push-ups. You bet. I will not threaten you with push-ups. I promise you. Sherry, working up a sweat and detailing your car. There you go. Talk about a way to get sunshine and a way to take your car outside and detail it. Yeah, Mary, isn't that interesting that the patients that were out, and you would think, being outside as opposed to being in the hospital wouldn't be conducive to recovering, but it was exactly the opposite. Waverly Hills Sanatorium had to say, during the tuberculosis. Rita, that's fascinating. That's exactly what we're talking about here. So it is absolutely fascinating how that can play a part in our health and our recovery. Keep your immune system high. I haven't heard from anybody that watches this program. If anybody that watches this is home dealing with an illness or whatever, would be interested to know that. Hey, Lisa from Indiana FFA land. Yeah, you bet. We're doing everything virtually now, aren't we? So it's so funny. I talked a couple days ago about how FFA changed my life and that. And after the program was over, one of the things that I couldn't help but think about was if I'd been a state or national officer this year, when you can't travel and you can't, schools are not in session, and how this year's officer team is kind of getting robbed of some of the things that makes being a FFA officer such an incredible life-changing experience because there's no place to go. Hey, I just saw here on Instagram that my great friend Matt Loris just joined us. Matt, I don't know if you got in here early enough, but he's former national FFA president and was just mentioning how fortunate that all of us were to serve in the times that we did and not be in a situation like this year's state and national officer teams are where, can't travel, school's out. Very, very different thing. Hey, Mark Jeffries, great to see you. Dave, good to see you. So here, Russell, just saw you pop in too. Great to see you. So here's the second thing I wanted to talk about today, and it's what I call the layers of personal achievement. One of the things that we have going on right now that's kind of a blessing in disguise is we've said so long. I know we get so busy doing what we do, we never have time to think about what we do. Right? I mean, we get so busy doing our jobs or in our careers or whatever it might be that very seldom do we have the time to stop and think and approach the rest of our lives in a more organized, systematic, goal-directed fashion. So I wanted to talk to you what I think are the rungs, kind of the stair steps of personal achievement, because it might be something that you want to think about and work on as we have some time here, together. And as you have time to kind of think and contemplate and do some of the things that we always wanted to get around to doing. Look, when this thing has passed, and somebody said if you could write one sentence to describe history, what would that one sentence be? The one sentence would be, "This too shall pass." Right? Whatever it is, this too shall pass. So regardless of where you are or what, this will pass. In some way, somehow, we don't know when, we don't know how, but this too shall pass. If when this is over, if all you can look back on and reflect on is that you got a bunch of Netflix shows wiped out and you gained a little weight, man, what a sad loss of an incredible opportunity for personal development and professional development. Hey, I'm not saying don't watch Netflix. I'm excited that the new season of Ozark is out. I can't wait to start on that. I'm not saying you don't do any of that, but what I'm saying is, if that's all that you accomplish from this, then you've wasted a great opportunity to also set some goals for the future and move forward for the future. So here's what I think of as the rungs, as the stair steps of your personal and professional development. And the first rung, kind of the foundation of all of this, are your priorities. Sometimes they're called values. My buddy Larry Winget calls them your core values. I tend to call them your priorities. In life, your priorities can change, but there are 6 basic priorities that we all have. Now, the difference between you and I can very well be the difference in the emphasis that we place on our priorities. If you go on my website that we have, distinctionnation.com, there's nothing on there for you to buy. There's nothing on there I'm trying to sell you. But if you go to distinctionnation.com, you can download a 14-day audio program that helps you develop personal distinction. And one of the things that you'll do there is a survey, a quiz, that helps you determine what your priorities are and how you rank them in order of importance. It's very interesting, too, if you do this with a partner or a spouse or whatever. Tammy and I, in the early days of our marriage, were having some challenges in terms of communication. And we went through this process. And one of the things that we realized going through this was that my number one priority was independence. That was more important to me than anything. The money wasn't as important. Nothing was as important to me as the independence to do what I wanted to do, when I wanted to do it, how I wanted to do it. That's what mattered to me. Tammy's number one was security. Can you see how that might create some very fundamental problems in how we approach anything in a relationship? When everything I'm trying to do is to be independent and everything she's trying to do is to enhance security, it will naturally create challenges in a relationship. Now, that doesn't mean those challenges are insurmountable. Obviously, we got a great marriage and we've been married over 13 years now. So the challenges we face, though, sometimes are in our relative positioning of the priorities. And if we never discover those and rank those and have conversations about those, then it becomes very difficult for us to understand where the other person's coming from. And it really was illuminating for me to be able to learn and to know and to understand that where she was coming from, was a place of what can we do to get more secure? And mine was what can I do to be more independent? So learn and discover what your priorities are. They're everything from enlightenment, the desire to learn, to finance, to power, to security, to independence. So you can discover those, but those are the basics. That's the foundation. Then the next step would be your goals. Now, your goals are those things that you want to achieve. Yet I've seen in so many people where the goals aren't congruent with the priorities. Let me give you an example. I went to a sales training program. I was speaking at one, and there was a sales trainer that was conducting a ongoing program about sales training. And one of the things that this person said was that salespeople, top salespeople, are driven financially. If you're not driven financially, you won't be a great salesperson. And I thought, I know as many salespeople that are driven by that independence factor and are successful as they're driven by the financial factor. They love being a sales professional because they don't have somebody looking over their shoulder all the time. Or, they know that if they want to make more money, it's not dependent on the organization. It's dependent on them making more sales. And so I totally disagreed with that. I think, but here's the problem. If you go set your goals about being financial, but your main priority is independence, do you see how it's going to work against you? Your goals have to be congruent with your priorities. So what it means is I will be a successful sales professional so that I can become more independent, right? It doesn't have to be, your goals have to be congruent with your priorities, because if they're not, then your motivation declines. You begin to self-sabotage in some situations. So it becomes very important. And Shelley, thanks for chipping that in. It's distinctionnation.com. It's absolutely free. It is, there's nothing there for you to buy. Just sign up. You can download the program, listen to the program. There's a video that goes with it that helps you determine. It's my gift to everybody that wants to be a part of this, Jay. So thank you for asking that, Shelley. Thanks for throwing that in there. It's distinctionnation.com. Hey, Paul, good to see you listening from the UK. Appreciate that as well. Okay, so your goals have to be congruent with your priorities. Then from your goals, the next rung are your actions. I know people that have a goal to write a book, right? They have a priority of being creative, and they have a goal to write a book. But if you don't take any action, if you don't put the seat of your pants in the seat of the chair and start writing, what's the chance you're going to have a book? It's zero, right? So your actions have to reflect your goals. If you can't tell me what action you're taking today to move you toward the goal, then you've got to wish. I mean, you got to hope, you got to dream, but you don't have a goal until you have specific actions that will connect you and help make that happen. So priorities that guide your goals, that guide your daily actions. And by the way, when you talk about time management, or you talk about, activity management or whatever, what better tool do you have than your goals, right? I mean, if your priorities say that this is your priority in life, this is most important to you in life, and your goals reflect that, then your daily actions, how you schedule your time and how you plan your day, should be a reflection of those things of importance. Now, look, I realize we all get sidetracked. There are things that are urgent that pull us apart and pull us away. But nonetheless, it's really important to think about this and to proceed through that. So that's one of the things that you got available. But whether you do this or not, my real concern is I want you to use this time that we have to think about what's really important. By the way, and it's also the mixture of how they fit together. Quick example. One of the priorities is altruism. Your main priority is helping other people. But I've known people that altruism was their number one priority, and just below that was finance. You think, well, wait a minute, what's that about? But then you think about Bill Gates, who's giving away his entire fortune. The drive for finance was coupled now with, at his age and at his status, with the number one thing of altruism. How can I use this finance to help me change the world and do things altruistically? So how that mix is really, really fascinating. So we can talk more about that as well in later programs. So just remember, if your priorities aren't aligned with your goals, then you're never going to either achieve what you want or feel satisfied in a sense of accomplishment with your achievement. That's really important. 3 by 5 by 50, Kevin. 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, 50 days a year. So, yeah, there you go. 750. Wow. Even at 1.5, it's 250 hours of personal development a year. That's what it's all about, man. That's people. We talked yesterday about Zig Ziglar, and he's Scott Stratton. Hi on Instagram. We talked yesterday a little bit about Zig Ziglar, and Zig was kind of criticized, made fun of on a 60 Minutes episode, talking about he really believed that a personal development program would do more for a person than a Harvard degree over the course of their life. And oh man, they totally ridiculed that on 60 Minutes. And frankly, at the time it was on, I thought it was a bit hokey. I thought it was a bit, over the top. But now I look back and, now I've got a few years since that was on, and I look back and I think, I know people who are educated who don't take action. And I know people who take action, but they don't know what they're doing. But that combination of personal development combined with taking action can make so many incredibly powerful things happen in today's world. So I just encourage you to think about that. But with the executives that I met and the leaders that I've met and just the flat out people that I've met, so many times when I sense a disconnection with them or a dissatisfaction with them of where they are in life and what they're doing, it's not necessarily because they didn't achieve what they wanted in life. It's that what they thought they wanted in life wasn't aligned with their priorities and therefore didn't bring them a true sense of great personal fulfillment. So, priorities, goals, actions, the 3 rungs on the ladder of personal and professional development. And remember, too, what we talked about, that motion creates emotion. So make sure you're out there moving around and doing some things that keep you moving and keep things happening. Well, that's 2 things I wanted to talk about today. I'll be back with a couple things to talk to you about tomorrow, right here at 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 noon Pacific. And look forward to next week. Also, we'll have a couple guests that'll pop in and have a chance to share with you as well. So if there's no more questions or anything from anybody, I didn't see anything from Twitter today, so we may not have got the link and made that happen. So I'll check that out. If you watch the replay, we'll also have this up on YouTube and have this up on Twitter, LinkedIn, all that kind of good stuff. So thanks, everybody. As I say every time, it is such a privilege and a pleasure that you would take a few moments and share today. And I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. One thing I would appreciate, if I could ask one thing, it would really mean the world. I notice Scott, others have shared. If you would, next time you jump on this, if you would share it with your followers so we could get more people in and have a chance to share this message with more folks, that would greatly be appreciated. So please share. Hey, Elisa, how you doing? Good to see you. Pam, great to see you. Thanks, everybody, for getting in here, and I will check in with you again tomorrow at this time. Have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.